I'm here to help women reset and rewild, to embrace and prioritize the pauses in order to reclaim their peace and power. I'm Dr. Michelle Paris, director of the Poppy Clinic and founder and CEO of the Wild Collective. As a disruptor, naturopathic doctor, wife, and mama, I've created a global movement and sacred space for women to rise together. Here, you'll break through limitations, romanticize your life, and unlock the magic of your divine feminine power. My life's work is rooted in community, lifting women into their most powerful, authentic selves, while empowering clinicians to elevate their practices with a transformational, community-driven model. I lead a thriving, passion-fueled business and naturopathic practice brimming with abundance, where I can guide women to invigorate their lives through sisterhood and elevate healthcare with a cutting-edge transformational approach. I've witnessed firsthand in my practice how this model sparks consistent health transformation, creates flourishing communities, and brings profitable success. You can have it all, a life filled with abundance, contagious joy, and untethered potential. So pull up a seat. It's time to pour into yourself and tap into your intuition and design a life that's wild, free, and uniquely yours. And I'm going to show you how. This is Wild Medicine. All right, welcome back to Wild Medicine. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Paris, and I'm doing a solo episode today. I decided to give Dr. Tara the day off because I wanted to share some Wild Collective insights. And I have been running Forever Wild for the last year, so I thought I would just give my perspective. And, this really comes to you at this time with the intention of really bringing you into our world and getting to see behind the scenes of what it is that we are doing. I know I've been here a really long time, podcasting and running the Wild Collective and all the things, but perhaps you're new here, or perhaps you've been listening for a really long time and you would like to know more about what it is that we're doing in the wild and what it is and why. And I just got back from doing a talk at a wellness festival. And I ran a quintessential wild circle experience that I just absolutely love. And whenever I get the opportunity to do those things, it's a really good reminder of why this work is so important and how much can be done, how much meaningful connection and work and clarity can be created in a very compressed amount of time. So to start this off, because it's really exciting, we're going to be hosting a full day retreat in the fall. Dr. Tara is actually going to be hosting the entire thing. I will be there to guide breathwork and to guide an experience. Dr. Kirsty Gaylor, our other associate, will be there also to provide insight. We call her our Costa Rican wild. She's like jungle wild. She's incredibly fascinating to learn from. I can't wait till you guys get to experience her more. She's going to be hosting a cacao ceremony, and together we're going to host a really, really special one-day event happening at our community space. And we can't wait to welcome you. So I thought I would pull back the curtains and let you see really what's going on behind the scenes of our community so that you get a really, really good idea. So let's dive in to why Wild Collective? Why rewild? Why do I care so much about this? And, I think it comes down to the second I discovered this idea of the divine feminine and this wild woman was the moment a light bulb went off, where it's okay, I need to dig deeper. I need to understand this better because I don't understand this. And no part of me at my current state of awareness 9 years ago relates to these concepts. And so that was, a big motivation and impetus to learn was I felt very confused and quite attracted to understanding this better. But I had been a naturopathic doctor at that point for 7 years, and I was saying a lot of things on repeat, and I was not loving the transformation results that I saw in clinical practice. And I thought there just has to be a better way. And so that's what really birthed this idea. Now, with all the wealth of information that I've obtained over the last 9 years of sitting in circles every single month, almost weekly for the last 9 years, what have I learned? I think where Wild Collective fits in and why every woman needs the wild is because unless we are checking ourselves, we tend to be checked out and we tend to tolerate a lukewarm existence. And this is a phenomenon that is quite prominent in North America for sure, and probably other parts of the world, but I'm very familiar with where I reside and the things that the modern day stressors that tend to pull us from our aliveness and our purpose. And I would say the comforts of North American living tend to distract us and pull us away from the things that we say matter to us most. And so I think, the world that we're trying to create and the experience that we've successfully curated for women in the Wild Collective is helping them tap back into their aliveness and to not burn it all down and build a new life. It's really starting to create or invite this regenerated reverence for the beauty that already exists in your life so that you're you kind of come back online. And that you're doing things with a lot of intention, a lot of love, a lot of purpose, a lot of awareness, which is a beautiful state to live in. You can go through the motions of your entire life, or you could be so dialed in and be enjoying many moments of it. I'm not saying you're going to enjoy everything, but it's a really beautiful place to live. And I've witnessed so many beautiful transformations over the last 9 years. I know that what we have is meaningful to those that we serve. And I often say, we serve the 1%. I mean, I would love to serve the 100%, but the fact is many of us will deprioritize a lot of things in the glamour of distraction or whatever seems most pressing at the time. And so only the ones who are willing to stay committed to what's important to them and what fuels them and build that into a life where other things, of course, have to happen. They're very unique and beautiful humans who are very, very committed to their own personal development, their own growth, their own spiritual hypertrophy, if you will, because I'm going to use the antidote in a second there, the opposite. But they're on a path, and they're very, very clear. And I read this quote, and I think this is a really beautiful way of articulating what I think is the modern day problem for women of our time with where we reside. And that quote is that we are living this depressive lethargy of purposeless living or purposeless women. And I feel like that's like a stab in the heart. I get that depressive lethargy. It just is this Groundhog Day, doing the same thing day in and day out on repeat and doing it in a way of just checking things off the list without much intention. And for me and for many women I've come into contact with over the last 9 years who have sat in wild circles with, over time, when we tolerate that for ourselves, what happens is I think it kind of grays things out. It's our life goes into black and white, right? It's just you're going through the motions. You're not really in it. It's just you're getting things done and everything's okay, but it's not Technicolor. It's not this vibrancy. You're not dialed in. You're not really breathing in your kids growing before your eyes or accomplishing a really big thing that you've set out to do. Sometimes we just downplay these things so much that we're off onto the next thing, or we're spiraling about events that happened in the past that we have no control over. But man, do we like to torment ourselves. And the only thing we're not is present. And so this idea of this depressive lethargy of purposeless women in the West is this idea or this nagging feeling of being not happy, but not depressed. You're where you did all the right things. You check things off the box and it feels good, lukewarm. And you kind of feel like you're drifting from all the things that you said you were really excited about. When I grow up, I'm going to do all these things. And you feel like it's supposed to be good, and it is, but it's also not that good, but it's also not that bad. And so you kind of wonder, is this it? Am I going to do this for the next 40 years of my life? I think this is a lot of women relate to this idea. And so let me explain a little bit on how we got here, because I think it's really important that we paint this picture of how did this happen? Because I worked so hard myself and accomplished a lot of things and literally had this thought, how did I get here? I thought it was all supposed to be more colorful than this, more fun, more enjoyable. It wasn't. It led to a lot of burnout and disconnection and dis-ease, if you will. So we got here by tolerating the illusion of comfort, right? And I think this isn't a North American phenomenon where things aren't bad, right? Most of us have a roof over our head. We have the ability to get food whenever we want. We I certainly feel like we can create our own destiny. Like there's a lot available to us. And so this comfortable kind of creates this lethargy. And I say this, and I've probably said it a lot on the podcast because I stand by it, but I'm super inspired by people in active recovery, because I think when you've hit rock bottom, you don't take your life for granted. And that is a beautiful attribute in my eyes, in my opinion, to live your life. And of all the books, I've read many, many books, but one of my favorites is Untethered Soul. And there's a whole chapter on confronting death. And I think this is a really important thing. But we're so bold in thinking that we're guaranteed tomorrow. And we are absolutely not. Are you feeling burnt out and exhausted? See you in someone who has recovered from a few burnouts herself. And through sitting in circles with women over the last 8 years, I have some perspectives as to what personality traits and habits and thinking traps perpetuate and put us at higher risk of developing and ending up in burnout. So if you want to find out your burnout archetype quiz, are you a CEO? Are you a saboteur, a martyr, a rescuer, or a zombie? Then head over to the show notes, click the free quiz, and find out what might be getting in your way. Also, learn strategies and things to consider to help you reclaim your energy and recover from burnout so that you can be blissed out in the world and doing things that make you happy. Enjoy. I just crossed the losing my stepmom 4 years ago anniversary, if you will. And obviously that's a very sad one. But she was 52 or almost 52. Like, it's so sad. Just going to miss out on a lot, and it breaks my heart. And those are things like we can't take these things for granted. That was a very unexpected shock. And so that was only more affirming to me of like this true reality of like every day is precious and you're not guaranteed tomorrow. And I am really, really attracted to the personality traits of someone who lives in active recovery, who works on themselves constantly, because it's a really, really attractive quality, because they are really grateful they woke up. They're really grateful. They don't take a lot for granted, and they don't live like the depressive lethargy of purposeless women of the West. Let me tell you that. If I'm going to generalize, of course. We got here through the quiet of tolerating the quiet tragedy of fine, right? Everything's fine. It's fine. Are you happy? It's fine. How's your job? It's fine. How's your marriage? It's fine. Right? What is fine? And why did it become okay? Like, at what point did we trade I am in love with all of the things that I'm doing to like, it's okay. It's fine. And the more we say that, the more it comes out of our mouth, the more we create this tolerance for it, and the less demands we put on ourselves to actually do something that is so much better than fine, right? And if all we do is surround ourselves with people who also tolerate fine as a metric of success, we're in trouble. Because then there's really no impetus to change. And for many women, we struggle with this idea of comparative suffering, which is, if she's got a lot going on and she's got it like a lot harder than me and she's not complaining, then who am I to not be okay with fine, right? And so a lot of us have this like martyr attribute or archetype that can flare in these situations where we're like, but fine should be good enough. We should all over ourselves. We say things are fine. And these are not great standards to live a beautiful, excellent, reverent, alive life, right? They are the bare minimum, truly. We got here by normalizing Groundhog Day living, doing the same thing on repeat. And we dress that up as a full life, right? Just like get up, make lunches, get ready, have your shower, go to work, do the thing, go home, make dinner, relax for a couple hours on the couch, go to bed, do it all over again, right? And so we tolerate this as being a full life, but seldom are we asking questions that would challenge or confront this concept of like, are you even happy? Does this even feel good? If you're just going through the motions, you never question it. And this is why I love that line by Tony Robbins, like the quality of your life depends on the quality of questions you're willing to ask. When that is a foundational piece that you hold as a value, well, then your life gets to radically change, because if you were asking better questions, you'd probably get better answers and realize, like, I'm not okay with this Groundhog Day living. This doesn't feel good, I think that's an important identification for some of us, right? We got here through the erosion of instinct. There have been many women in my world who've shared with me that they don't even trust themselves to order off a menu. And if you can't trust yourself to order your appetizer, your entree, how are you going to trust yourself with your life? And, for so many of us, we have outsourced our power. We can't make a decision on our own, and we trust whoever we deem an authority on certain subject matters, right? And so through this, we start to doubt ourselves and then not trust the signals that are coming up for our body. And so a core foundation, and we'll get to this in a minute, but is that we help women become body literate so that they trust their instincts so much so that they start to understand and use that as a part of the information in which they make decisions for themselves, right? We got here through loss of meaningful communion. A foundational piece of Wild Collective is community, if not the core value that we hold. The thing that gets deprioritized the second life gets busy is social connection. And the thing that is vital for a woman to feel good in her life is to be well connected, to be tapped into a community of like-minded individuals that space, that mirror back, that offer suggestions, who validate, who challenge, who comfort. Like, community for women is like oxygen. It is a vital piece of our overall well-being. And it's no mystery to me that at the time we find ourselves the most anxious, the most depressed, the most in struggle mentally, we're also the most disconnected. And separated and pulled apart. And so as someone like myself, who, really tried to white knuckle her way and do everything on her own and not need anyone for anything, that brought a lot of mistakes and pain and upset that I wasn't desirable. And it's really had me reanalyze every aspect of my life and want a simpler life, and to really reshift what success and fulfillment and satisfaction actually are to me. Women don't feel good if they're not connected to other like-minded women. They just don't. And that is something for me, the belongingness piece is, the fire for that is deep. It took me a really long time to find belongingness. And once I discovered it, I really felt like I had discovered a superpower that nobody must have known. I think a lot of you do know, but I certainly was like, whoa, do women know how awesome this is? I never forgot that. And so that's certainly the thing that fuels my fire, that makes me unwilling to quit the mission, even though some days it feels incredibly hard and painful to get women to pay attention. Again, because these things are deprioritized in everyday life and we're distracted. And so sometimes it feels like a fruitless endeavor, but as someone who's a glutton for punishment and deeply cares that every woman knows that she has a safe place to fall, I keep going. I really do. So what happens when we tolerate these things for ourselves is there's something that I call the drift that comes in. So, we all woke up one day as these bright-eyed, inspired women who are like, I'm going to change the world, or whatever version of that. I'm going to build this beautiful life, and there's this aliveness and this heart that comes from that woman who really believes what she says. But as we start to tolerate comfort and feeling fine and not trusting our own instincts and Groundhog Day living and not seeing our friends as much as we like to, we start to drift away from our purpose, our pulse, our aliveness. And that drift comes when we stop questioning if things are working. The drift happens when we stop gathering together. The drift happens when we stop saying or articulating our desires out loud. And the drift happens when we trade meaning of our lives for maintaining our lives. And the sad part for most of us, and this is why it's so hard to get some people's attention around this, is that we didn't even know we made the trade. And so largely this is going on without us being fully aware, because we're too busy checking things off the list to even notice that our life became about maintaining it instead of having meaning in our life. And so if this is something that you relate to in any capacity, this is why I think this conversation is so important, because this is the exact woman we serve. I want to offer the solution, because if we don't, there are things, if we don't interrupt the drift, there are things that happen that we need to be aware of the consequence. So this is where I wish more people were tuned into information like this, because we need to know what trade we're making when we're drifting. And if we don't interrupt the drift, this is truly what you get. So spiritual atrophy, and this is a much more complex conversation and growing conversation for me that I'm very happy to have, but on the very surface level, it's very interesting. Lisa Miller is someone who has studied this through functional MRIs, studied the brain, especially the anxious or depressed brain. And what's fascinating is that those who have report higher levels of anxiety and depression have certain parts of their brain that are atrophied. So they don't light up, they don't fire up, they are not working at their capacity, at their full capacity. And when we put in a spiritual relationship with a higher power, those parts of our brain fire up. So this is really, really important, because her theory, I think it's a very good one, is that the antidote to, maybe not the only antidote, but largely a huge part of the antidote of depression and anxiety is a spiritual relationship. And these are conversations that just don't happen in many cases. And I have spiritual aspects to many of the programs that I run. And a lot of women will come into my office and they'll say, "You're triggering me." And I'm like, good. Being triggered or being activated is a good thing, because it means we're challenging, we're asking questions, or trying to dig in and see how you land on things. We don't have to agree, but these conversations have to be had, because when we look at the data is very clear. And this is going to be really, really important for a woman feeling like she's in the pulse or in the aliveness in her life to feel rich and reverent. A spiritual relationship is vital. It's absolutely vital. And we can do a whole podcast episode on that. And I will, because I think it's really important for me to share my journey, where I land with all of that. I think that's really, really important, to always be open and honest and transparent. That always hasn't felt safe, but it probably also isn't safe. And that's okay too. What else do we get? We get a low-grade resentment. I can tell you that can run pretty high in my office. That level of resentment grows over time and it compounds. And resentment is unmet needs. And for so many of us who have good girl conditioning, which we talk a lot about in the wild, we need to start vocalizing and understanding what it is that we actually desire, like not stuffing things down. This shows up in my weight loss program, because we tend to stuff and emotionally eat when we can't actually alchemize and metabolize and process these big emotions. So this is really important. It's multifactorial, and it really does compound. So we need to pay attention. We see marriages that go quiet instead of alive. Very rarely do I hear about a very healthy partnership. Most cases, and again, we tend to maybe talk about the things that aren't working as opposed to the things that aren't working. So, take that with a grain of salt. But, I hear about a lot more marriages that grow apart than I hear of like working. And so I think this is where sisterhood can be very, very helpful. Lots of information, lots of conversations, lots of gathering and cultivating different sources and resources to start to nurture our other relationships. That's one of the benefits of community, actually. Sisterhood avoidance is another thing that we get if we don't interrupt the drift. Because especially now with social media, it's a lot easier to be curated online than to be truly known, because it's vulnerable, right? And for many women, not all women, because not all women have the same story as me in Wild Collective, and I love that. Many women have been burned by sisterhood, feel that sisterhood is not safe. I relate to that. And so you might be a lot easier to curate yourself online than to be known by other women and potentially put yourself back into a vulnerable position. And this is why you should really investigate what circles or what communities you put yourself in to ensure that you're not putting yourself at risk of being harmed relationally, right? That's really, really important, is that the space you're entering is a safe space, is a space that is in alignment with how you would like to have conversations and be nurtured and grow, right? Numbed instinct, deadened instincts. I love the word dead end. It speaks to me like this domestication process. So we go from wild to domesticated women, and we go from instinctive beings, like having a very good read on environments and on people and on things, to not trusting ourselves, outsourcing our power, especially in health and in medicine. This was a huge one for me, as I wanted women to feel like they were the authority of their body again, and to start self-advocate and give them enough education to understand how to navigate the healthcare space in a much more, let's collaborate in my care versus like handing over my health to you and you make the decisions about my body. That doesn't jive for me at all, nor the patients I serve. And all of this results in a slow collapse of vitality, so gradual you don't know what's happening. And this is why this job is so hard. This is what I'm up against, is that for many women, they don't even know that this is happening, right? We're like totally unaware that this is happening, but it is happening. And for many of us, we don't even realize it until someone looks you dead in the face and asks you what you desire, and you freeze because you actually have no idea. I've seen this face many times in my circles. So this is I see you. I've been there. And it takes time to build back, but man, is it so worthy. That version of you is so worthy of rebuilding. So the antidote that I've seen help hundreds of women in the Wild Collective and help myself, it's been so healing. Here are the things that I think are really, really vital. And here's the things that you can come to expect at our upcoming retreat. And these are the things that you can come to expect when you join us in a Wild Circle, because it's a very, very special time together. First is community. Being in community with like-minded individuals. There's the beautiful thing that happens in a Wild Circle, and it's because of the community that we've co-created. It's because of the boundaries and standards that we hold as Wild Collective facilitators to be able to help witness this for other women and help facilitate a healthy connection with women and a safe space to get curious and lean in and be vulnerable and all the beautiful things that really fill our cup, that it's so long forgotten. It's so not it's almost unnatural these days, but very primal, very viscerally natural, but really easy to downplay because we can escape in a lot of ways these days. But when you tap into that, when you start to immerse yourself in that community, you're like, it fills your cup in a way that you're like, what is this? It's so beautiful. It's really awesome to witness. And I had feedback from someone who came to my talk last month at Everlove, and she wrote, you had a smile from ear to ear the entire time you spoke. And it's that's what happens. When women trust me in this, and I've gotten a whole lot braver because I've seen it work so many times that I'm pretty bold, and I don't shrink when I talk about the stuff anymore, because I don't apologize. I know what works for women. I've seen it, and I have too much evidence to water down my message. I am smiling ear to ear because when I see women just lean in and give it a shot, it makes me happy. I can't even describe it. It gives me huge sense of fulfillment and joy to witness wild in other women and to give themselves permission to fully lean into the process. Having conversations and asking questions that matter. We don't do surface level. We don't do fluff. We're in the deep. We're talking about all the things women wish they knew somewhere they could go to ask these questions. We're all thinking it, but we don't know where to go. It was really, really fascinating to me. And I just want to expand on this for a minute. Is I put out a poll last week on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, I'd love for you to. I'm at Dr. Michelle Paris on Instagram. And because we had just covered a very, very special chapter for Wild Play, and Wild Play is our most advanced group of women, and the conversations there are top notch. They are in every Wild Circle because that's what we curate, but these women have been doing this for a really long time. Some of them have been there for 9 years, and many of them anywhere between 3 years and beyond. So very high comfort level with each other and a willingness to totally lean into this process. So when we were talking about belongingness, it just happened to be a chapter we were covering. I asked them okay, they were telling me about their friendships and their early childhood friendships and their current friendships and all these things. And I said, well, where does Wild Collective fall in on all this? And the beautiful things that were shared with me or mirrored back with me is that Wild Collective is on that same plane of importance and valued, and it is sacred. It is honest. It's where they're the most vulnerable. It is a very specific type of connection and community that helps to foster their growth and fuel them and fill their cup so they can go back into their world and do all the things that add vibrancy to their life, right? Which I thought was super cool, because I remember originally when I started this, had every reason, because I didn't feel like I had my own pack, and I wanted every woman in the world to know that they had a safe place to fall. That remains still very important to me. But then that evolved, because then there were some women, they're like, well, is this even for me? Because I have great friends. And so I had to sit with all these parts and learn along the way, and then asking them directly, like, where does this fall for you? On Instagram, I'd ask this question online to everybody, and everyone did a great job of responding. So thank you for everyone who answered that poll. It's very, very helpful. But I asked, like, do you have like a pack of friends that you rely on for everything? Or do you have various groups and you have different people in your life that serve different values for you or fuel different parts of yourself, if you will? And everybody, 100% of people said they have various friends. So I think this is where Wild Collective is a very, very sacred community of very high vibe women that contribute towards your relational health and your relational capital, so that you can use that information and grow yourself to be able to show up to your life in a fuller capacity, more vibrant, more technicolor capacity, right? So no question is off the table. No conversation hasn't been had. That's a beautiful thing, but we do it with a very, very high level of intentionality and respect. This episode is brought to you by the Wild Collective. If you are ready for something innovative, something truly transformational, you are wanting to build a beautiful life and thriving health and vibrant energy, and you're not sure how to build that in, you might want to consider something as incredible as the Wild Collective. The Wild Collective is our women's health initiative. It is a closed community of like-minded individuals. It is where sisterhood meets self-care. There's 10 modules of fundamental women's health, all the evidence-based information that you need, the testing, the handouts, the assessment, how to advocate for yourself in the wellness space. Also, what natural and integrative approaches you can consider for any age and stage in life. And being that it is part of a community, you also get this beautiful experience of meaningful connection, conversations that matter, and truly up-leveling your life. So if you are ready to take on something totally transformative and fun, then please go check us out at the Wild Collective. So that's the-wild-collective.com. Get on the wait list, and we will see you in one of our wild circles very soon. And we don't all have to agree, and everything is confidential and kept private in that circle. And it's a really, really special space to be a part of and to have as a part of your community healthcare plan. Like, it's essential. The other thing I think as a clinician that I'm biased towards highlighting is that for many patients, and I think this is why this did really well in the beginning and why I became super passionate about it, is most patients lack the support and accountability to actually transform their health. And so when Wild Collective became part of their healthcare strategy, we saw that no matter what they were working on with respect to their healthcare plan or on their journey, their compliance increased because they also increased and invested in their accountability and support. And so those things go hand in hand. And so if you really are looking to transform your health, you need to include support and accountability to part of the strategy. And it's why even in my metabolic weight loss program, Shed, we have community as a fundamental part of it, because I know what happens when you actually have access to that, which is super cool, right? Anyways, I digress. Very, very important. Getting regulated. This is fairly new in terms of how we support women in the Wild Collective, because I'm always growing, always learning, always willing to get better. Truly, when I started this, I did not know what the wild woman was. I didn't know what the divine feminine was. Like, I was mystified. I'm proud to say I figured that out. But what I started to notice over time is, even though we were having really great in-depth conversations, even though we were practicing different skills and communication, all of these things, what women started sharing with me is for them to really leverage this information into their life, like beyond wild, is that they didn't feel safe in their own body in order to do that, which then motivated me to finally become a breathwork facilitator, because I needed a tool to help them get regulated, to help them feel safe enough to be in their body so that they could actually take everything that they were learning and do something with it. And that's what I love. This is always a growing and evolving community model of care. So we do breathwork now. We do breathwork as part of our embodied experience, because I also started noticing like it would be super easy to just intellectualize the conversations and not actually integrate. And integration is key. You probably all know that, but we want to really understand. And I truly know for women to take radical responsibility for all the things that they say they value and want to do, they have to feel safe enough in order to do it. So they've got to get into their body. They got to start alchemizing and metabolizing the emotions and things that feel stuck so that they can bravely take up space and have conversations in their everyday life and set boundaries and all these things that we need women to do in order to really truly feel healthy in her own life. Like those things, you can't run away from those things. Those things must be a part of it. Finding your joy and desire. This is truly, it's shaped some of my teaching in the wild, because when I learned how dysfunctional this was for most of us, I realized we needed to make sure every woman was having these kinds of conversations, because over time, especially from a young girl, when we handed over our authority to our caregivers to get the love that we so needed when we were little, we tended to downplay what we desired, what made us happy, what brought us joy in order to receive love. And so over time that happens, and then we become high achieving type A personality women who do really wicked things in the world, accomplish a lot. But when you actually ask these individuals what they desire or what brings them joy, they have no freaking clue, because it's like everything else has become prioritized above that, and they don't actually really know those things. And if you feel called out, I'm doing so lovingly, you're not alone. Let me tell you, you're not alone. And that's part of the fun part, is starting to tap back into, does this hit? Does this bring me joy? Is this something I desire? When I ask for this, how does that land? How did that feel in my body? That stuff's super fun to unpack and explore. And rarely do we give ourselves the time, breath, and space to actually figure these things out. And that is something that is foundational in the work that we do. And then body literacy. I think this is of the utmost foundational importance, is the thing that we can offer, especially as naturopathic doctors, facilitating these kind of conversations, is that we can help you tune back into your body. We can help you start to understand the language of your body to facilitate a more successful conversation with your body, which means that if something makes you feel unsafe or uncomfortable or doesn't sit well with you or feels like a crossed boundary, or you've overextended yourself, or you've overcommitted, or food didn't agree with you, gosh, it goes many, many levels. You will be able to be very attuned to that information. And when we are attuned to that information, sometimes it feels like a double-edged sword, because now you're feeling everything. But I will say awareness is always key to healing. And so then it allows for us to start to navigate the world in a much more empowered place, because we can actually start to say, you can actually start to take in all different types of sensory data. And in the book, Women Who Run with Wolves, she talks about the wild woman who has like the 1,000 eyes. And I love this as a visual, because the visual for me in my mind is this highly sensory attuned woman, where she's taking in all types of data. She's taking in body language. She's taking in smells. She's taking in the words. She's taking in the tonality. She's taking in the environment around her. She's taking in all the sensory data, and she's making a decision around it. And the more attuned I've become, the more discerning I have been with relationships that I tolerate, standards for my own health, my own body, how I raise my children to be attuned. Like, it is a skill that has really helped in every aspect of my life. I'm a better leader. I'm a better clinic owner. I'm a better doctor. I am in every way better sister, mother, daughter, all the things. Literacy and taking in sensory data is our gift as women. It is something that is, because we are so empathic, because it is how it's so linked to our capacity for nurture. It's like these are primal skills that we have that got deadened in the domestication process that we need to bring back online in order to be able to really navigate in a much more alive fashion. Like this truly is taking your life from like the mundane, lukewarm Groundhog Day to Technicolor to like really waking up to your life and being like, I'm so lucky I woke up today. I am so blessed with a wonderful husband and healthy kids and a beautiful home and a job I love with people I'm so grateful to serve. Like these are mine. These are true. These are completely coherent and true and aligned for me because I've worked very hard at rebuilding this brick by brick, very slowly in communion with other high vibe women. Like everything we teach in the wild is something I have personally been able to receive from women in this fashion. And I know the power of this. And I really don't think health and wholeness happen in isolation. They just don't. And I just really need to be super transparent and honest because if you do not have these things, you are missing out on some of the most beautiful and glorious days ahead of you. Your life doesn't change, but the way you are in your life radically changes. And that reframe is like turning the light switch on and it's like Technicolor. It's like you're waking up to the beauty that is your life already as it exists. And that is a wonderful place to be because we stop chasing, we stop shame spiraling ourselves, and we start dialing into our presence and like being the witness. You know, it allows for me to like watch my son play soccer and do something he loves and bring me a lot of joy. It allows for me to be so attuned to my daughter. I can notice the shifts in her body language and her things, knowing that there are changes happening there. Like it allows for us to be very attuned to those things and allows for us to use that data for the betterment of all. The health of the home is usually very strongly correlated to the health of the mother and how she operates and cares for herself so that she can pour that into the people that she serves, right? And there's this beautiful cyclical nature, even like as community members, you don't have to be a mom, but like as community members, like the more we can nurture ourselves, the better we can show up and serve in that capacity. And I just think there's just so many beautiful things that we are robbed of through the way we speak about women in modern day terms and what we expect of her and how in so many ways we work against our own innate wisdom and nature. And through that, we end up with deadened instincts and feel burnt out and feel depressed and anxious and like so pulled from our aliveness. And the beautiful part is that it requires very little and the solutions are very simple and the return on investment is massive. And so I mean all of these so honestly that when we do give women community and conversations and questions that matter and getting regulated and tapping into our joy and desire and becoming more body literate, we literally help her fire up and come back online. And I don't know. I just think it's the most important, vital thing that women need to have in their life. And so if you have been here for a while and have been on the fence, if you are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for listening. We would love to have you be a part of our community. It would mean a lot to have you there and for us to hold space for you. So you can go to the show notes. You can get on the wait list to be the first in the know. It's going to be a smaller group because we can only fit so many people in our community space. So you'll definitely want to be the first to know about our retreat. We haven't hosted one in like 2 years, a full year for sure. I had healing work to do and I'm so excited. And a huge reason I feel so excited is that I will be hosting this with 2 very, very important naturopathic doctors and friends and women who very much inspire me. Dr. Tara will be hosting the entire event. If you haven't met her, buckle up. She's just a pure delight. She loves community as much as I do. And she's so talented and so brilliant. And we're going to have a really, really fun day. And Dr. Kirsty, who's been with me for a very long time, who just recently came back into our lives. And she is truly, we always make jokes that me and Tara are like North American wild, and Dr. Kirsty is like jungle wild. She's Costa Rican wild. And she really, her depth of understanding and love and reverence for reclaiming our wild is unmatched. I love having conversations with her. She is soul. And she will be bringing her body of wisdom and work also to this experience. This retreat is going to be outstanding, and I cannot wait. So it's September 26th. It's a Saturday. It's a full day experience. You cannot register yet, but you can get on the wait list to learn more. And as soon as it is ready, we will offer it to our wait list first, and then open it to the general public. Seating will be limited, and we would love to have you. So if that feels like alignment, make sure that you get on that wait list. Thanks for tuning in and listening. This is probably the subject matter I'm most passionate about. It is an honor to serve women in this way. I love the wild. I love the women in the Wild Collective. They are so special and really inspiring. And if you feel like women like you aren't out there, let me tell you, they are. They're amazing. And they come hang out in our community space once a month. So you're definitely going to want to join us. So until next time, stay wild. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.